Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we are trying to build a strong competitive deck. And one of the best ways to do that when a new set comes in is to look at what was powerful in the previous set and see which new tools are available for that deck. And we are going to be applying that technique to Ruby Amethyst and building what I like to call Ruby Amethyst Empowered. So let's see what kind of new toys we've gotten in Ruby Amethyst. So the purpose of the deck was to try and play super powerful late game threats, control the battlefield, and use Amethyst's card draw potential to just gain card advantage, gain board advantage, and use Be Prepared to completely wipe out what our opponent is doing, as well as other powerful removal like Maleficent the Dragon. So let's see. Actually, let's start from the bottom of the curve. We do want to apply some kind of pressure and prevent our opponent from doing stuff that's too unfair early on. We just want to prevent our opponent from doing too much early and then overwhelm them with late game threats. One good way to do that is to play Felicia, always hungry. As a 3-1 reckless character, she kind of takes a bit of that Gaston position, where you play her and you're willing to trade her against whatever your opponent is playing. And with the 3 power, she can punch above her weight, taking out 2 or even 3 drops for the price of 1. So she's a nice inclusion. Looking at the under 1 drops, Befuddle has been played. I'm not a big fan of the card, although some copies could be okay. This is not a Maleficent, aggressive type of deck. We just want to be playing defense early on. Now there is this one quite interesting card. Blue Fairy Rewarding Good Deeds is a 1/1 evasive, and whenever you play a Floodborn character, you may draw a card. I'm intrigued by that ability, which seems very, very good if you get to play some Floodborn characters. So let's add 4 copies of the Blue Fairy in our deck, because we do want the card draw, and as a little evasive fairy, she can just quest in the meantime and see if there's any good Floodborns. So we're going to use filtering and look at all the Floodborn characters available. And there are 12. And Floodborn characters are typically fairly expensive, but there's a lot of cards that if you've looked at my card rating videos or full set reviews, I think are very powerful. In particular, we have Fairy Godmother, Mystic Armorer. That's just the beast of a card. For now, let's include her as 4 copies in the deck because she gives you combat power to your characters and you get to bounce back into your hand, which is very good with rush characters. And Ruby Amethyst does like playing Rafikis and Mauis as strong rush characters, and Fairy Godmother allows us to get these threats back. She's also inkable, which is quite a nice upside. Madam Min, it's not really the time for that. We'll keep her for some balanced deck. There's the Queen of Hearts, which whenever we challenge, we may draw cards, so it's another nice draw engine that got added. Again, for now, let's include her as 4 of. There's Lady Tremaine, the Imperious Queen, which is removal spell, essentially, with some stats, and she sticks on the board, so the opponent has to sacrifice a character, typically their weakest. But as we're going to be playing somewhat control-ish, we can get the opponent in that position where we force banish some of their stronger characters. For now, let's put 4 copies. We're going to tweak numbers a little later on. Raya, not really her time to shine. Isma, another removal threat. Let's add her in 4 copies. Aladdin, let's add Aladdin's for now. And let's add Facilier gets outshined by the Fairy Godmother, who's inkable, cheaper, and has a very similar ability. And that leaves Elsa, Spirit of Winter, to add to our deck. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time. This time I'm going to add everything I want, and then go back and cut what I think shouldn't be in our deck. Alright, so what do we have so far? We have a lot of very powerful Floodborn characters here. So I think it's worth playing the Blue Fairy as an early game, just a little bit of questing, and allows us to draw some cards when we start playing our big bomby threats. So let's try her out. Now our goal is to control the battlefield. So let's play a couple of copies of Gaston. And I want to play the Persistent Presence, HeiHei. Whenever he's banished in a challenge, he bounces back to our hand. And that's the type of card that we want, because we can pressure the opponent from not playing too many damaging things, and just we trade with HeiHei, HeiHei comes back, we ink our HeiHei, because we do need a lot of inkables in this deck to then play our bigger threats. So I kind of like this line. Then Magic Mirror has been an inclusion. Let's put 2 copies for now. Pinocchio's not really what we're looking for. And as we go down, there's Small Aladdin, which is typically included with his bigger version. Then we have Friends on the other side, everyone's favorite card draw. Maleficent, the Sorceress, another great inclusion. Rafikis, who doesn't like Rafikis? And if we're going to be doing some combats, I kind of like Shere. He gains us a bit of lore, has solid stats, overall is just a very powerful card. And it can allow us to get into a good position to win the game as we're taking out our opponent's threat with our big challenger, namely Rafiki, and we're going to get to Maui eventually. Dinner Bell, I don't overly want to invest into that type of card draw right now. We already have quite a bit of card draw when we'll look back. As we continue down the list, we have Namaari. That's essentially a removal spell. Banish his character, banish an opponent's character. So I really like Namaari. Solid 4-drop. Pongo's a bit of a quester, but not quite what I'm looking for here. Dragonfires. Let's add some of those. Maui's. Our big bad removal threat. And then we used to play some queens. So let's add a couple of queens for now. As we'll go to triage mode later. Be prepared. Linchpin of the deck. Very important inclusion, as well as the Maleficent Dragons. Okay. So these are kind of all the cards that I'm considering in this deck as mostly removal stuff and big late game threats. So now we take a look. We're at 83 out of 60. So we have way too many cards. So the first thing I'm going to look for is my uninkables. So what are all the uninkables that I've put? Let's take a look. From the start, we have a pair of Magic Mirrors. We have a playset of Rafikis, a playset of Namaari, playset of Dragonfire. Oop, didn't want that Pinocchio. Sorry, you do not fit in this deck. We also have a playset of Lady Tremaine's, Be Prepared, and Elsa. That's way too many inkables. So how many inkables do we want? I'd say 16 is pretty much the maximum. I'd prefer closer to 12. So maybe we can afford 12 to 14 uninkables. So looking at this, I think we have enough draw elsewhere. We don't need the Magic Mirrors. Also, the items removal has been improved with Rise of the Floodborn, so I'm going to try and cut those mirrors. Where else can I cut? Well, the Rafiki is actually a very good 3-drop removal for Ruby Amethyst. And if I look at my other 3-drop options, well, there's nothing else that really compares. There's Shere, that's actually a comparable beater, but Rafiki's just the rush, take out the Simba, and that allows us to counter the Lilo into Simba type of line that our opponent can play. And if they're on the play, we really need some way to aggressively counter that. Although now we do have Felicia to take out that Simba. Alright, then we have Namaari as our 4-drop that can just trade with something. And she's our only 4-drop, so I kind of want to keep Namaari. She's very strong removal. She's our only 4-drop. She has nice stats, so she's going to be holding the fort at that ink cost. Then we have some Dragonfires. I don't think we need the Dragonfires here. It's a nice removal spell, but we now have Namaari that's a body that has a similar effect that's cheaper. We already said that we have Rafiki for the earlier game removal, and later we have Isma and Lady Tremaine that are other removal spells into Maleficent. So 5 ink to just remove a character is starting to feel expensive. So I'm going to cut out the Dragonfires altogether. Then, as we move up our uninkable chain, we have 6 Lady Tremaines. Lady Tremaine is a solid character. She is quite expensive. So 4 copies of an uninkable 6-drop might be a bit much. And if the opponent is flooded with small characters, her ability pales a little bit. So let's thin her down to 2 copies. And then we have our 2 late game threats. Elsa, well, personally I've never liked her as 4 copies because I'm afraid of getting stuck with too many copies in hand. And now that we have Lady Tremaine as well, I'm going to cut them down to 2. Maybe we can afford 3-3 type of line. And now let's count. We have uninkables 4, 8, 10, 16. 16 is a little too much. So I'm going to cut a couple of Be Prepared. Be Prepared is not good in multiples in your hand. Be Prepared is a card that has to be respected from your opponent. And you don't even have to play Be Prepared for the fact that Be Prepared is going to have an impact in your deck. Because the opponent knows that the card exists and you don't want to overcommit to the board. And showing a couple of copies in your deck can get you out of a tight spot. But you don't want to be stuck with multiple copies. And we have other means of good removal. In particular, now we have Lady Tremaine. That's kind of an alternative, just destroy 1 targeted character. We have Namaari, and we have our Rush Reckless type of characters. So I think we want to cut a bit on the Be Prepared. Okay, let's review. So now we're at 70 out of 60. So we've cut down, our uninkables are fine. The next step is to look ink by ink. Is this what we want? Let's start from the top. Actually, let's start from the bottom. So we only have 1-drop Felicia, so we'll leave her alone. Also, she's scary, so I don't want to mess with her too much. There are 2 drops. We have 10 copies. Blue Fairy acts as a card draw engine. HeiHei and Gaston are removal. I'm happy with this line here. Now I get to the 3 drops. We have 5. 5 feels like a bit much. Now, Rafiki I really like. Maleficent trades for cards, and she's very good at singing Friends on the Other Side. Aladdin's only as good as playing the big Aladdin. Actually, this one's probably the weakest link. Slightly weak stats, the effect's not great, so just by himself, that Aladdin feels like the weakest link. And Shere is okay. Shere Khan's awesome. Just in this deck, early lore might not be the best thing, but I kind of want to play him. He just has good stats, and yeah, we have HeiHeis that can challenge for days. We have our rush characters. I think Shere Khan can get us a lot of lore. So I'm going to cut Aladdin. But I should look at the high end of the curve too. So we have these really nice removal style characters and card draw. So we have essentially card advantage, pressure advantage, removal, card draw, removal, card draw, removal. And Aladdin's kind of sitting there. I'm going to be a big body challenger. Well, I'm not sure that's necessary anymore. So I'm going to cut the Heroic Outlaw. Mostly because I want to cut the 3-drop, and I think the newer characters have more powerful enter the battlefield abilities than what Aladdin has. Well, he doesn't have an enter the battlefield ability if you don't have the small Aladdin to allow him to shift. So we've thinned down our 3 drops. That's probably the line that we want since we're short on 4. And we do want to be able to sing Friends on the Other Side. So I'm happy with the lower end of the curve. Actually, what's the card count? 62. So we're getting close. So 4 drop. Namaari's holding the fort. And on 5. So we have the Fairy Godmother. That feels amazing. And supports our rush characters. But not only that, giving Challenger 3 and Bounce Back is an effect that goes really well with Enter the Battlefield effects. So that Maleficent now becomes a 5-powered threat that you can replay to draw a card. So suddenly this becomes a lot of card advantage. So I really like having access to Maleficent here. Rafiki with the Rush, really nice. Even the Blue Fairy can become a combat threat when the Fairy Godmother gives her a big sapphiric sword. That should be Excalibur right there. So I really like the Fairy Godmother. Let's keep her there. And then we have Maui. Maui's a bread and butter removal. And I do want most of my other cards to be inkables in the top end. Then we have Queen of Hearts. If we can get challenges, we can draw a card. Again, that goes really well with the Fairy Godmother. I know they're both 5-drops, so the line doesn't play quite as well. But just having HeiHei's just sacrifice themselves for drawing a card and bouncing back into your hand feels like a good trade. That Felicia, that's going to be challenging because she's reckless, draws you a card. So we have a lot of these combat-based early challengers. And both Fairy Godmother and the Queen of Hearts allow us to reap benefits out of that in terms of card advantage, which I really like. And then we have the Queen. Well, the Queen tries to generate advantage by herself, which is okay, but it feels like the Queen of Hearts is now the stronger Queen in this deck. So I think we want to wipe out the Queen wicked and vain. And this brings us to this line. Suddenly in 6 we have 2 Lady Tremaines and 4 Isma. Okay, so 4 Isma feels like a lot. But Isma is inkable, and it's going to be one of these somewhat flexible slots where you can ink her early. We're probably going to be inking a lot of Isma Scary Beyond All Reason early, mostly because, well, she's scary, and we don't know whether she's going to be useful in that mid to late game situation and which way. Because we are playing a bunch of cheaper characters here. We are playing some reckless character. We're playing the Maleficent that doesn't mind getting sacrificed to draw 2 cards off of Isma. And if the opponent has a big threat, well, Isma's there to remove that big threat. Even giving 2 cards to the opponent's not so bad if you can gain some tempo off of Isma and kind of shift from I'm controlling everything you're doing to I'm questing and winning the game. And then we have our Be Prepared and Maleficent, the Dragon. That's our other, we're probably going to be inking you a lot type of card. But once we do reach 9 ink, dropping 1 or 2 Maleficent is going to close out the game very, very fast. We also have Elsa that just big tempo swings. So, and we're at 60 card. So I'm happy with the number of uninkables. I'm happy with the card quality. I'm happy with the curve that we have. And I do like the synergies with the early threats that we don't mind sacrificing. The Fairy Godmother and Queen of Hearts that give us that card draw through the challenges. We do have quite a bit of questing, a lot of 2-3 questers in late game. We have friends on the other side, Maleficent for draw. We also have the Blue Fairy that's going to allow us to draw some cards from all our Floodborn characters, and we've got quite a bit. We have the Fairy Godmother. We have the Queen of Hearts. That's 4 copies. We have Lady Tremaine. We have Isma. That's another reason to keep Isma. And we also have the big Elsa. So I think this list is very coherent and maintains the spirit of what Ruby Amethyst was trying to do, but just pushing the power level by playing stronger cards. And now all that remains is to watch the deck in action with some games. Let's see what we get this game. Namaari, Rafiki, Blue Fairy, Shere, Queen, HeiHei, Maleficent. That seems fine. I didn't get to go first, which is always a very nice advantage. Especially for a deck that doesn't really aim to play turn 1. Or a character turn 1. We do have the Evil Cat of Doom, which we can play. Although we don't have it in our hand. Maleficent goes to the ink, as will pass the turn back to our opponent. Yeah, the cat Doom Felicia. Opponent goes Cinderella. Fairly big early game threat. Gonna ink our blue fairy and opt for the HeiHei route, just threatening to punish Cinderella if she decides to quest, which is not what I'm expecting her to do. Expecting her to sing, because that's what Cinderella loves to do, singing and shifting and going to the ink pool, apparently. She does everything. Everything you can hope for, as she lets the storm rage on. The combo of the hour, because it really is pretty good. Oh well. Shere will go to the ink, and we will respond in kind with a Rafiki, just showing her that there's no monkey business against Ruby Amethyst. Now we're out a lot of cards. But we have a monkey. At the very least, we're going to punish our opponent to play an early whole new world. And isn't that what this game is all about? I'll play Namaari. And I don't think Ariel wants to trade with Rafiki, so I'm going to quest for one. I honestly don't want the opponent to trade with Rafiki because I'm hoping to drop a Queen of Hearts next turn and get a couple of clean challenges. It's more likely that Ariel's going to sing Grab Your Sword. Because if the opponent tries to play anything, Namaari is going to take it out. Well, depends what it is, but anything meaningful, Namaari is going to have a field day with, using her ability to transform into a Dragonfire. That's not going to cost me any ink on that turn. Why? Oh yeah, no. I was thinking that she could hit hit Rafiki, and get away with her ability, but she cannot. Alright. We're on 4 ink. I want to keep the ink coming, so I'm going to play a Gaston. Ink Gaston. And drop another copy of Namaari. I'm afraid of double grab your sword. Let's see if we can get our opponent to exert something. I should have quested with Rafiki there, for the same reason as I quested with him last turn. Opponent has just no good trades. But I'm really hoping to drop a Queen of Hearts and draw a ton of cards, making you taste your own medicine, Rapunzel, gifted with healing. Opponent is pondering which copy of Grab Your Sword they should be playing. Ooh, a Queen hard-casted. That's painful to play, right? When you're facing a pair of Namaaris. It's a pretty good card, though. Ooh, opponent goes to quest with Rapunzel. We'll make you pay for that. By playing a Queen of Hearts. Whenever one of our character challenges, we draw a card. Draw a card. Namaari can also challenge. Draw a card. And that Maui is going to be useful next turn. But we're going to ink a Shere. And I want to wipe out that queen. She can swing combat mat too much. Still expecting their opponent to play Grab Your Sword. So our other copy of Namaari is likely to go away. We'd keep our Queen of Hearts with a Maui on the field, with a Maui in hand, which would be pretty nice. Just so punishing. We're punishing our opponent for doing stuff, which is what control is all about. Okay, opponent goes to trade with Namaari using Ariel. I get that. She don't have anything really good to sing. You might as well put Ariel to good use. As a queen comes in. Opponent inks a Cinderella. Okay. Well, Rafiki's gonna sing because he's got nothing else better to do. Oh, we find Isma. Isma's nice here. I think we ink our other copy of Shirkan. Feeling the opponent is setting up for either grab your sword or a whole new world here, so I'm gonna mess them up with Isma. You want to play a whole new world? Well, I'm trading your queen for 2 new cards. So I'm giving you cards which you probably don't want because you have a whole new world. And I'm getting tempo in exchange. Opponent goes for Ariel. Fighting on the ground is not a good thing. You'd much rather fight in the air using aerial moves. Alright, opponent finds a grab your sword. Second copy of Ariel finds hopefully not another copy of grab your swords. Because that's a lot of swords. Opponent finds a second copy of grab your swords. So we're getting sorted to Doom next turn. That is disappointing. I can quest. Not that fond of that Maleficent anyways. I want another card. Just want to start digging a bit. I know she's just going to get destroyed by the grab your swords, but I'm going to play her anyways. Find Inkable Kitten as I pass the turn into our inevitable doom. Still got it with grab your swords. Grab your sword number 1. Grab your sword number 2. And then what do you got? Whole new world? Opponent still has 6 ink. Inks a card. Stoutheart maybe? Yes, Cinderella Stoutheart. That makes a lot of sense. As we will go Fairy Godmother into Rafiki and take out an Ariel. And this is a very delicious draw. I cannot emphasize enough how good of a draw that is. Now, in my defense, the deck does have a lot of very good late game draws. And it just sitting with a Maui and a Rafiki on board. Oh no. Oh no. Third copy of Grab Your Sword. Well, that is hurtful. There's no two way to put it. As our Fairy Godmother was going to make our Maui and Rafiki come back to hand. Well, we draw a Queen of Hearts, which will allow Rafiki to take out Ariel and draw us a card. Still a fine trade. Shere board is fairly equal. Queen of Hearts being pretty good here, especially with a Maui in hand, but our opponent doesn't know about it. Stitch Rockstar. Things are about to get card heavy, as our opponent now also has the potential of drawing a huge amount of cards. Cinderella's tempted to go after Rafiki and does go for it, which is going to leave her vulnerable for Maui's counterattack. Second Queen of Hearts. Unfortunately, we don't really have time to play a second Queen of Hearts, but Maui is going to go and trade with Cinderella, drawing us a card. Fairy Godmother, very good one. Get an ink off of Shere Khan. And we'll pass the turn to our opponent. The one upside is Stitch is going to force characters to come in exerted, which means that they'll be prime targets for Fairy Godmother Queen of Hearts tag team combo. Actually, I guess we're just resolving a second Queen of Hearts next turn and drawing an obscene amount of cards off of her ability. She kind of counters Stitch in that way. The opponent puts in characters, draw cards. We challenge these characters, draw cards to play more stronger characters to deal with the constant influx of small characters. Opponent draws a card, discards a card off of the small Cinderella, and draws a card off of Stitch's trigger. Ooh, a big queen. Very interesting board positions in this matchup. Card count 36-34. Not overly relevant. But our opponent's likely playing some copies of A Whole New World. 3 grab your swords are gone. Alright, second Queen of Hearts. Here we go. Shere Khan draws 2 cards. We gain 1 lore off of Shere Khan's ability. So our opponent only has 1 more copy of Grab Your Sword. Probably want to keep that Isma. Let's go Maleficent. I want to have something else that can challenge. We find to be prepared. We're going to ink Friends on the other side. With 2 Queen of Hearts, we don't need more draw sources. Also, there's always the constant looming threat of A Whole New World, just taking out our hand. Stitch, Carefree Surfer, draws more cards for our opponent. That's another way to do it. Play the little dude that costs 7. I'm not sure how much lore we've gained off of Shere Khan this game, but a few copies have ticked up. Because we've been mostly trading with our opponent. Just trading characters, trading challenges. Opponent's trying to take us out by card advantage. We're trying to take them out by card advantage. We're winning. At least I think we're winning. You need one of these chess programs to kind of see, oh, I think the position is actually 56% Ruby Amethyst and 44% for the Steel Amber player, who just took out one of our big threats. Alright. So, we have a few options here. I think we want to take out that queen. We could attack it with Maleficent, challenge it with Shere Khan, draw 2 cards, gain 2 lore, then cast to Be Prepared, just wipe everything out. But I'm really tempted to resolve that Fairy Godmother. So, I think for now, Shere Khan's going to challenge a queen. I'll draw a card. Always draw cards. Always gain lore. Play Fairy Godmother. Play Namaari as a fairly potent threat. And now we have 9 ink. We don't really need to ink anything more. So we'll pass the turn back. See what the opponent does. We can quest for 5. We can start questing with certain characters, keeping our Fairy Godmother alive. We do have to respect that our opponent still has 1 more copy of Grab Your Sword, which could be pretty devastating. Well, we have to make it so it's not that devastating. But let the storm rage on, plus Grab Your Sword. Opponent wipes out most of our stuff, takes out Fairy Godmother. Starting to wonder if our opponent plays any copies of Whole New World. This is fun. New mechanics, new cards, still lots of Lorcana goodness. Stitch, ooh. Opponent goes to draw a card off of Stitch. The Rockstar strikes again. Oh, and opponent quests with Stitch. And quest with Stitch. Opponent is tired of waiting. and decides to make mistakes. Very big mistakes that Fairy Godmother is going to quest. Fairy Godmother's ability triggers, meaning that all our characters have Challenger 3, and they'll get bounced back to our hand if they get banished in combat. So let's take out Stitch with an attack for 5, draw a card. We pick back up Maleficent. I mean, Challenger 3, that's 7. Let's take out the small Stitch. Let's draw one more. And Namaari is going to activate her ability to just take out Surf Dude over there. And I just play stuff. Maleficent, draw a card. Second Namaari, very happy to see that, and a blue fairy. Now our opponent needs a whole new world, and he grab your sword, and they're still in a bit of trouble. World's greatest criminal mind's not going to do it, as our Mystic Armorer just gave us the weapons we needed. Not sure what the opponent has in store, whether they just got tired of waiting, didn't read Fairy Godmother, or have very good cards in hand that I don't know about. Alright, well, there's not much there going on for opponent, so let's put the nail in the coffin with Lady Tremaine. Opponent will have to sacrifice one of their characters. Blue Fairy draws us a card. 24-28. And at this point, we're far ahead. We can just quest with the team. And like that, we're at 17. Do want to be somewhat considerate of card count, because I don't think our opponent has very many ways of winning. Lady Tremaine just forcing our opponent to discard. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and decides to resign after this epic battle of attrition between two of the top decks of the metagame. Here we go. Rafiki, Shere, Namaari, friends, Rafiki, Namaari, friends. Okay, very redundant hand. We don't need as many uninkables. We can keep Rafiki, Namaari, and we'll keep everything else for inkability purposes, as we find a big Elsa and a blue fairy. So we're a little high on the uninkable count. Do have quite a bit of 3-drop, so Shere is going to go into the ink early, as we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. What can we highlight here? Blue fairy, probably. 2-drop, that's on our mind. 1/1 evasive, simple stats, and when we eventually get to play a Floodborn character, we'll get to draw a card. Gonna send away friends on the other side to resolve our blue fairy. Only have 2 inkables left, friends on the other side and Maleficent. Depending on what the opponent plays, it might be tempting to just ink the Maleficent to draw 2. Although my preferred approach would be... yeah, no, actually we'd ink the Maleficent, just resolve the Rafiki. Ooh, Rapunzel and Eric. So Steel, Amber, potentially Songs? Find a nice 5-drop here, but at this time, we're just looking for inkables. Apologize, Fairy Godmother. You're an awesome card, but we need you to be ink right now. As we draw a card off of the usual Maleficent, then quest using our evasive threat. Big healer Rapunzel goes to the ink, and Eric has nothing to challenge. And that's why I don't want to play too many Spirits of Winter. big uninkables are a bit of a liability. Okay, Eric goes to quest, and we'll make it pay for that with a Rafiki, I think. Start by singing Friends on the Other Side, which is the main purpose in life of our Maleficent. I think I'd rather keep the Felicia for now over the shirt count. But we'll go with Rafiki. Good old Rafiki. Taking out that Prince Eric, living to tell the tale. We'll keep Felicia as an inkable for now. Rafiki, I used to dislike that card. And then I realized just everything it could take out as a surprise. And it's been a mainstay in Ruby Amethyst ever since, and I think even with Rise of Floodborn it deserves the uninkable 3-drop slot. Tinkerbell decides to take out our Maleficent. Oh, and Rapunzel comes in with the healing and the card draw. We have a game. Gonna have to ink that Felicia. And we'll get to resolve Namaari. We can quest the blue fairy for essentially free here. And Rafiki... I think I just want to hold with Rafiki, because if the opponent shifts a big thing, pings everything for 1, takes out Rafiki, and does the 2 damage on Namaari, we're in a bit of trouble. And Namaari is our protection against that Tinkerbell, because Tinkerbell would really hurt. She would take out our blue fairy. But Namaari could just activate her ability and exile it on the black backswing. And we'd get to resolve another Namaari. Such a strong card. Grab your sword. Another very good removal. Hard casted though. Which means that our opponent is now out of ink. But again, let the storm rage on. Very nice new spell from Steel. 2 damage, draw a card. Amber Steel against Ruby Amethyst. The eternal matchup. We find a nice inkable with Queen of Hearts. Let's send her in, then resolve Lady Tremaine. So opponent's going to have to sacrifice either Tinkerbell or the Rapunzel. I think that's a decent pick for Lady Tremaine. And we still have 3-4 body that quest for 2 on the battlefield. I'm happy with that exchange. Opponent does have 6 cards in hand though, so we might be getting out controlled a little bit, or out card drawn thanks to our opponent's Rapunzel. Which opens up the questing. Gaston will go to ink. Can give a little poke to that Rapunzel, or begin the questing match. I don't think our opponent has a big Tinkerbell. I mostly have to resolve the Namaari here. So they want to quest. If the opponent has another Rapunzel in hand, I think I need to start applying some level of pressure. So let's quest with Lady Tremaine. Captain Hook to ink. Elsa and Be Prepared is a decent hand to have, as long as we find another uninkable source, inkable source. Cinderella comes in. That's a big threat. The Stout Heart, Steel character. It's just very solid. 5/5, resist 2, quest for 3. Let the storm rage on again? Seems like it. Oh no. Rapunzel goes to quest. Well, Cinderella Stout Heart may be a good character, but she's still weak to Namaari's removal ability. Goodbye, Cinderella. Simple banishment. Now the question is, do we land our big Elsa? I think we do. I think we just slam her on the battlefield, keep our opponent's cards exerted, and go for the quest. I just love Namaari as a card. The opponent knew that we were going to banish that Cinderella, but there's not any other play other than following it up with another Cinderella. Oh, but now we gotta have some fun, because we've drawn into a Fairy Godmother. I guess we just pass the turn here? Or do we bait with the Elsa? No, we can't bait with the Elsa. Let's just pass the turn. Ooh, and now the opponent essentially can't exert a character. Grab your sword, taking out our Lady Tremaine. Oh, and Cinderella can take out our character, our big Elsa, thanks to her ability to challenge rested characters, as long as the song was sang. That was a cool ability triggering there. Alright, well, if you want to play that way, we've got a HeiHei. Not exactly what we're looking for, but hey, something. Something that just got wiped out by... It's that fourth copy of Grab Your Sword. Eventually our opponent is going to run out. Opponent's forcing our hand. We have to cast Be Prepared. We're resetting the board as we pass the turn back to our opponent. Good old Be Prepared. Taking out big threats since 2023. Ooh, Moana. Big quester. Well, let's send Maui to the ink pool and play our big bad dragon to take out the 3 quester. And now we have the threat. Card draw is not flowing as much as I'd like this game, but our big threats are doing their work. Tinkerbell comes in. Speaking of big threats, and we find a Maleficent. Do we run her out? Probably. Drawing another one. Drawing a blue fairy. We'll lose a Maleficent to the exchange. Tinkerbell challenges Maleficent, but Maleficent the dragon, I do have to specify now that I have 3 Maleficents in play. But I don't want that Tinkerbell to ping our blue fairy, so that's why I'm keeping her in hand. We do have quite a lot of Floodborn characters in our deck. And I would really like to start leveraging them for some draw. So the opponent is now completely out of Grab Your Swords. So I shouldn't have to worry too much about those, as we find friends on the other side. Things are now rolling. Let's start by singing, drawing some cards. Rafiki, shirt count. Okay. We can just run everything out, right? Without fear of grab your sword, we're fearing Tinkerbell. Let's run Shurika and Rafiki at least. I do fear Tinkerbell a little bit. Opponent can quest for 3. And our challenges will gain us some lore. Let's keep the blue fairy back. For now. Just in case the opponent Tinkerbells us again. The opponent can still quest for 3, which is problematic. And here's Tinkerbell again. As foretold. So the opponent want to go for some challenges. Or give us the Shurika triggers. I do think questing is the wise approach to take. Opponent reveals a Tinkerbell off the top of the deck. And it remains there. Then Rapunzel takes out one of our threats. Alright. That is fair. Opponent inks be our guest. And we find Isma. Okay. So that is an interesting position to be in. Because that Tinkerbell is a big problem. So we want to go Blue Fairy. We definitely want Rafiki to take out Mulan. We gain 1 lore off of Shurika. Shurika is going to take out Rapunzel, and we gain 1 lore off of Shurika's ability. Now we can play Isma, wipe out the Tinkerbell, and give our opponent a Tinkerbell and another card. Or we can wipe out our own Shurika and draw 2. Knowing that our opponent has a Tinkerbell off the top, Tinkerbell is going to ping us, but then we'll have to deal with 2 Tinkerbells. Which we need Be Prepared, Maleficent Dragon. I'm not sure just how many answers we have. It's a second Tinkerbell. Otherwise, we will have Isma in play. We'll draw a card off of Blue Fairy. I think we want the board presence. So, you can have the cards. We'll draw one off of the Blue Fairy. And our opponent's pretty much forced into playing Tinkerbell this turn. Which is quite devastating, to be honest. But we have good draw potential for another Floodborn character. Find a Maui. Isma is going to have to quest. And we'll land the Maui just to spend the ink. Pass the turn back. This is a pretty close game. Our opponent's playing a strong deck. Oh, Isma. Scary beyond all reason. 4/4, but when we play her, we can send another character into the player's deck. I assume that triggers a shuffle. Oh, opponent just goes quest. With 2 characters. Find a Queen of Hearts. That's a lot of card draw. And she's Floodborn. That's not enough to stop our opponent from actually winning this. We need to be prepared. But we don't have enough ink to cast it. Well, let's just go with full power of our draw. Draw an Isma. We draw Namaari. And we'll draw something else off of the Queen of Hearts. A Maleficent. Can ink the Isma. Play another Maleficent. Just showing off how the deck can go off if this was mid-game. But we're unfortunately a little too late. And the opponent can just quest for victory. And we can't stop them. But that was quite a ride and a really fun game. I hope you've enjoyed it. Alright, what do we have here? Maleficent, Gaston, Isma, Maleficent, Friends, Shere, and Be Prepared. Don't really like the Be Prepared in the opening hand. Not going first. The rest seems alright. So we're going to keep it as we find our second copy of Be Prepared. Maleficent will go to the ink as we'll pass the turn. Let's see what our opponent has in stock for us. Probably not Lorcana cards, because at this point they're out of stock everywhere. Let's highlight Shere. I like Little Tiger. Opponent resolves a Cinderella. Cinderella Super Singer. Singer 3. Who needs more abilities when your ability is Singer 3? Let's send Isma to the ink. And resolve good old Gaston, the arrogant hunter. Opponent inks and not sings Be Our Guest. And follows up with a queen. Ooh, that's nice. Followed by Let the Storm Rage On, the new Song of the Hour, that just off of Cinderella allows you to deal 2 damage to anything, nullifying your opponent's early threat. A nice 1-2 punch. Gonna anchor Felicia to draw a card off of our 3-drop Maleficent. Queen of Hearts. It's a nice pickup. World's Greatest Criminal goes to the ink pile. We do have to be wary of the Queen Commanding Presence, the 4-drop that came out on turn 3, which allows our opponent to swing combat very heavily in their favor. Opponent picks up Grab Your Sword and goes to quest with the Queen. Right, well, we are in a bit of trouble here. We do have a Be Prepared at the ready. Opponent has to Grab Your Sword. We can take out Cinderella and draw a card off of this Maleficent, maybe? Ink Shere. Just keep on drawing into better spells, but then your opponent's just going to Grab Your Sword, take us out. Otherwise, you can play a Shere, take out Cinderella. If the opponent grabs their sword, we're not completely out of stuff. Yeah, let's keep a bit of board presence. Let's go with the Shere, take out that Cinderella. And we'll gain 1 point of lore in the meantime. Queen's also a very nice singer, as she's a 5-drop with Singer 2, Shift 2, so you can play her on turn 2, and she has the capability of singing all these steel songs that we love to hate, or love to play, depending on which side of the coin you're playing. Expect your opponent to grab their sword, ink a Cinderella. You can have a free combat on our Maleficent if you like, thanks to the Queen's ability, but that would be a bit of a waste of singers. But again, maybe the opponent is just being conservative with that Grab Your Sword. Opponent decides to quest with the Queen. And Ariel will take the free damage. When hard casts Let the Storm Rage On. 2 damage to Shere, and draw a card. If I were the opponent, I would have just Grab Your Sword, Sing, let the storm rage on, draw the card, and play something else to just establish large board presence. Because here I get to ink friends on the other side. I know it's a shame, right? To resolve my Queen of Hearts, which has 3 willpower. So she's not going to die to grab your swords. Shere gets to attack and take out the Queen, which is very dangerous. We draw a card in the process and gain 1 piece of lore thanks to double triggers for double success. And now I like this board presence a lot more than before. We're in a nice spot. Queen of Hearts is about as valuable as Ariel. Card advantage is the same. Ink is about the same for both players. And we were on the edge of playing Lady Tremaine. And on equal footing at this point in the game, Ruby Amethyst is going to be quite favored. Opponent hard cast to grab your sword. Sings a whole new world? No, nothing. Alright, well if that's the case, then Maleficent will go to the ink. Lady Tremaine will take out your Ariel. Because we all know how dangerous Ariel is. Oh, Lady Tremaine. Such a great card. The opponent has to sacrifice a character. Removal and a beater. And off of that, our Queen of Hearts gets to start questing a little bit. Because why not? We can also trade our Queen of Hearts for two fresh cards off of Isma, depending on what the opponent plays. If our opponent plays a big threat, we can send it away. Felicia. I'm not a big fan of Felicia in this situation. Well, here we just get a quest. I think we trade. Yeah, I think we trade our Queen of Hearts for 2 cards. Find Rafiki and a blue fairy. Felicia will go to ink, and we'll pass the turn back. Maybe that's a mistake. It feels like progressing our card pool, progressing our ink is the right play here. Even though Rafiki is not exactly what I was hoping for. Another Felicia to hit the ink. We can quest for a bit. Might as well resolve the Rafiki. Unless the opponent double grabs their sword, which is going to be hard because there's no character on the board. Queen to the ink. Opponent at 7. What are they doing? Oh, okay. Cinderella Stoutheart. That is what you were doing, dear opponent. 5/5 resist 2. And I can't save my characters because you're going to challenge them even if they're ready if you play a song. So we have options here. We can blow up everything, which would be a terrible, terrible idea. We can quest with these. And then drop an Elsa. Which is probably my favorite approach. I kind of want to play Blue Fairy before I play the Elsa. But there's just no time to do it. And if I do it now, then I make myself... If I go Blue Fairy, HeiHei, I get myself way too vulnerable to grab your sword. And yes, the Elsa makes the board position almost unwinnable for opponent who resigns the game. Let's see what we have here. Queen of Hearts, friends, Elsa, friends, Fairy, Rafiki, Maui. Elsa will go away. I'm generally happy with the rest. Finding a HeiHei is pretty nice. So first things first. Let's ink friends on the other side and pass a turn back. See which inks our opponent is playing. whether we want a HeiHei or blue fairy on turn 2. Steel. Steel is a bit of a problem for a blue fairy. And we've just drawn a second copy. So we're going to have to go with chicken. HeiHei, you get to come in. Alright. Amber Steel from our opponent's board with Snow White and the 7 dwarves. Interesting choice. I think we can skip the blue fairies this game. Have HeiHei for pressure and Maleficent for the draw as we find Namaari. Ariel, the spectacular singer. Ooh, second Snow White. That can be a problem. Double discount on the dwarves is a big discount. So opponent's about to flood the board with some dwarves. Have Doc and a free Sleepy. Thankfully, our opponent doesn't have any 5 singer, so I don't have to worry about a whole new world hitting us right away. Gonna ink an Isma. And I guess we send the Rafiki to Sleepy. Is that what we want? Sing Friends on the other side, Rafiki to Sleepy. That sounds right. Let's draw some cards. Find a Gaston. Otherwise, we can resolve in the Namaari. And maybe let's keep Rafiki for next turn, because next turn we can always Rafiki Gaston. Let's just resolve the Namaari, our stronger threat. Yeah, the barrage of dwarves is going to happen now. Our opponent still can't sing Friends on the other side, so that'll be all resource-wise for our opponent. As Captain Hook takes out our Maleficent for free, thanks to some dwarf triggers that nullified our attack. Alright. Alright. Well. The Queen of Hearts has some work to do. Opponent already questing at 6. I'm going to send the Maui to the ink pool, because I want cheaper threats. And we get to play Queen of Hearts. Whenever one of our character challenges, we draw a card. So Namaari still has 3 power, so does HeiHei. Snow Whites aren't as dangerous now. I really want to take out the high questers from our opponent, but our opponent does have a pair of Bashfuls, which are a bit problematic, but we need a challenge. So HeiHei can take out, well, might as well take out a Snow White. It's either Snow White or Hook. Let's take out a Snow White. Draw a card off of it. HeiHei bounces back to our hand. Namaari will take out the 2 quester. We'll draw a card off of the Queen of Hearts. Fairy Godmother. And we'll pass the turn back. Queen of Hearts, such a nice card drawing engine type of card. We've already drawn enough cards, we just need to survive now. Which is going to be tough, because our opponent has a lot of dwarves. A lot of high questers. And Hook will trade with Namaari. So our opponent can quest for a lot. Yeah, the Bashfuls, questing for 3. I don't think we can stop our opponent. It's a little too early for Be Prepared. Opponent can quest for 13 next turn. Yeah, we have some control tools, but we can't control that level of absurd aggressiveness. Fairy Godmother will go to Ink. We can Isma one away. Yeah, there's not much we can do here. That's Rafiki. Rafiki can take out Prof at least. Draw a card. Oh, we find a second Rafiki, which is nice. Let's go with second Rafiki. Let's take out at least one of these Bashfuls. Draw, draw. Keep drawing them cards. Opponent can still quest for 8, which is too much. And our continuous influx of card is not enough to beat double Snow White into ton dwarves. That's gonna happen. And it's the upside of a Snow White in the 7 Dwarfs deck. If you get a couple of Snow Whites, you can flood the board. And if you don't hit your Snow Whites, well, you have a bunch of subpar characters. But in this case, we will take our defeat. And, well, good game. That was a fun matchup. We just couldn't get our control out just fast enough. I hope that you've enjoyed this video featuring these awesome, epic games using the Ruby Amethyst Empowered deck, which feels pretty strong, feels great to play these high control card, lots of variety of new effects that just put our opponent in the bubble, and once we have the control, it's very hard for them to go out as we have removal after removal and we just close out the game afterwards. Games were great, lots of fun, had a blast playing this deck. I'd really encourage that you try it out. Maybe you can tweak it to your personal liking. I personally like the slightly greedier version of the deck, but I'm sure after a couple of weeks, Tournaments is going to come up with the optimal version of this list. But overall, the deck feels pretty great. I've been playing against some top meta decks, especially these Amber Steel songs, and games are a lot of fun. I hope that you've had as much fun as I have, so let me know in the comments below which changes would you make to the deck after having watched this video. And let me know what type of deck you'd like to see next, whether you'd like me to cover that Amber Steel deck or other decks that I think are going to be top notch, or whether you'd like to have some fun and just throw some kind of crazy strategy out there. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe on your way out. I had a great time with this. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.